I've come to a very important place in my life where the hobby of reading has really started to like elevate my thinking and elevate the way that I see the world, elevate my parenting style. Everything is starting to shift and move and elevate upward, grow, expand. And so I found myself asking that pivotal question that one asks, whose major hobby in life is to read. Why? Why do you read? So that's what this video is going to be on today. I'm going to talk to you guys about why I read. But first, if this is your first time seeing my face or knowing of my existence, my name is Diamond, aka Jaded Reads, and on this channel I like to do reading vlogs, book reviews, and everything in between. I like to share a little bit of my life, my personality, and the way that I truly feel about the books that I am reading. And if you're interested in that type of content, if you like my personality, you might want to consider subscribing, and we could be friends. And I love to talk, so chatting in the comments, you'll always have someone to talk to because I'll be here. All right, so why do we read? Why do I read? And so what I decided to do was, I have a few books that have shaped my thinking over the years. I think I have one from like each year. Yeah. A couple from the past 3 years up until now. One of the most recent books that I finished. So I wanted to start first with one of those books that really changed me. It really changed me, and for the best. And that is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I read this book in 2022. I have a vlog reading this book. And just like with all of my reading vlogs, a theme when it comes to me and my personality and my reading, I always have to insert myself into the place of maybe the main character, one of the characters, and think about her, because it's got to always be a her. Think about her. I will even change a male character to a her. As I'm reading, I can make it so visceral, so vivid for me in my imagination. And I would think, is this something that I would do, or how I would change the situation, or I would have done things differently than Leela or Lilu or Linu. But either way it goes, I couldn't help but insert myself into this friendship that is Leela and Linu. Two childhood friends. This talks of them being children and meeting each other for the first time and matriculating through life in the slums in Naples up until about 15 years old. This one stops when they're about 15, 16 years old. And it follows the trajectory of a friendship and all of the woes that is friendship, all of the jealousy, all the triumphs, all of the love and everything in between, family dynamics and everything like that. And what was very significant about this book and why it resonated so much with me is the idea that women, and another theme throughout all of these books is they're all written by women. I hope that this is written by a woman. There's talks that it's written by Domenico Starnone or his wife. I just can't see a man writing something like this. But the connection that the female species has, no matter what their quote-unquote race, because as you know, if you're a reader and you seek knowledge, race is a social construct and it's not real. So the phenotype that is being of feminine, dominantly feminine, it radiates in that novel, and it brought me to the conclusion that we are all on the same leveling plane. Yes, maybe mentally we all are different, but my viewpoint and perspective started to really shift after reading My Brilliant Friend, because I don't know, for some reason she just like broadened my horizons, as basic as that sounds. And Also, this book is very confronting in the nature of what it's like to be or have someone that's not of the male species know so much about you and able to make you so angry, and at the other turn make you extremely happy. She confronts what it's like to be a daughter, and also the biggest part is when Lenu, or her name in this book is Elena, as she's maturing and hitting puberty, the way that it is described in here, and her the crush that she has in this novel, and how it's written, and like just the obsession that is a first love to you, that of course it's not, I don't want to talk about it just in case you hadn't read it, but all of those things that are written in here, it just evoked this feeling of, for me, it evoked a feeling of like refinding myself in a way, or basically adjusting those feelings that I had back when I was a teenager entering into adulthood or adolescence. She wrote it very well, and it really resonated with me. And so in reading something like this, I have a tween. I have a 9-year-old. She's about to start puberty soon. And so just reading things like this just basically makes me more sensitive to the idea that I actually have a child that's soon to grow into something like this. She might experience these things she will experience these things over the next couple of years. And so reading these novels have really shaped me in a better way, a more positive way, as you do forget as you grow, because your outlook starts to shift and change. You're trying to find yourself, you're trying to do this and do that. Reading kind of grounds you, and reading My Brilliant Friend grounded me in a way that I'm forever grateful for, and I'll never forget that book. I'll keep those forever. And so moving into the next like sort of novel that's like changing me in for the better. In that same year, I read Natalia Ginsburg's The Dry Heart. This book made me feel seen in the way, and kind of shifted my thinking, and basically made me feel okay for all of the rage that I have on the inside of me. I haven't read a lot of authors who speak of the feminine rage and write about feminine rage, essayists and things of that nature. I'm going to start on some Audre Lorde this year. I've only heard her referenced in some of Sally Rooney's writing, but I've never read her for myself. But Natalia Ginsburg, another Italian author, she did it very well. There's a lot of little rage moments in Elena Ferrante for sure, but this book right here, I'm a divorcee. I was married. I got married very young, and I was married for a while, actually. He is the father of my daughter, and but I didn't deal with unrequited love. We were very much in love with each other. We made a wonderful couple up until a specific point, and a very gorgeous couple, might I add. But at some particular point, those feelings start to change and shift. And when you're young and you grow into something and someone different in your marriage, in your life, it's hard to like adjust to those feelings. And so you're not really understanding how to talk about the changes that you're experiencing, and maybe that you might not love someone anymore, whatever the case may be. And so what you start feeling is this unrequited sense, and you're not understanding at the time that that's what it is. Oh, someone's falling out of love with someone, and you're not. Let me get off my soapbox. But this book put into terms that it was okay to be angry, that it's okay to feel. Now, I won't go as far as I think her name is Olga in this book. No, it's Olga because this very much reminds me of Elena Ferrante's Days of Abandonment. It reminds me of that. What is her name in this? I think she's unnamed, actually. Either way, the main character in this novel, she details, or I'll say Natalia Ginsburg details what it's like to have an awakening. The awakening, like I said, is not an awakening that I wouldn't take the route that she took, but leading up to or finding out why she decided to do what she did is great. And like her yearning for, at first, this this love that she was not receiving from this man, only for him to in turn objectify her and like basically kind of sort of trap her into something that he knew was not something that he wanted to be in. But because he wanted all power and autonomy over her body, her mind, and her experiences in this life, he decided to go forth and marry her, knowing all and well he didn't love her. But I just appreciate the writing style of Natalia Ginsburg in this book, and I appreciate the moments that she started to, or the main character started to understand her true feelings, and the way that it was written, as to me, is like this spiritual awakening. And it made me feel seen in the way that for me already there is a sense of there's a stigma on you as a black woman who's also mad. You know what I mean? It's almost like we're always like that, and that's not true. And so even though, like I said, this book is written by an Italian woman, I prefer to call her ethnicity is Italian, but she has no race. So that's why my connection is so deep with these books, is because I'm looking at them from a lens of, this is a woman writing to another woman, and hopefully a man might read it to get some understanding. But she wrote this for someone like me, and it changed me in the best way. And so yeah. So as you can see, there's a theme of awakening. Books awaken me and also I read for understanding. For me, reading is of course entertainment. It is of course an outlet. It is of course one of the best things ever. It's so comforting to have a book in my hand, snuggled up under my duvet, reading and having a cup of coffee or some water or a sip of wine and just enjoying the words on the page. But also I read to gain a better understanding of the world around me and how other people think and how other people live. And that brings me to another author that is near and dear to me, and that is Miss Joan Didion, and this is Slouching Toward Bethlehem. These are essays, and I read this in 2021. And so I wanted to reread it again this year. I wanted to reread it in January, but I didn't. But whatever. Either way, I have a passage that I wanted to share. And this is the essay on self-respect. So here she says, just a paragraph. Once in a dry season, I wrote in large letters across 2 pages of a notebook that innocence ends when one is stripped of the delusion that one likes oneself. Although now, some years later, I marvel that a mind on the outs with itself should have nonetheless made painstaking record of its every tremor. I recall with embarrassing clarity the flavor of those particular ashes. It was a matter of misplaced self-respect. You can only imagine like what that essay entailed. And for Miss Didion, and I've read other work of hers, she situates you in a time and place that is long ago, but also very relevant to the times of today. And her reading, which is her thinking ultimately, but her writing, it just makes you think. And that's another reason why I read, for a better outlook, like I said, on life, but a better way to not control my thinking, but broaden it, expand it. Like I said at the beginning, I yearn for an understanding that I'm continuously searching for in novels, which is ultimately a really good thing. We're all limited in some aspect or another in this life, but I don't know, books just gives me a specific type of, it's like an energy that radiates from books, especially literary fiction. And now nonfiction is actually starting to become one of my favorite genres also, which it was not at first. But they just give me, and Joan gives me this sense of of like urgency, if I can say that. She urges me as a reader to figure out who I am as a person, as a woman, as a mother, and she makes me kind of think past the totem pole. She makes me want to climb higher, to reach for more, in a sense. And she is definitely one of the authors, one of the most striking authors that I have read in recent years, and she's a part of this new way that I have about myself, and I appreciate her. And I also have another book that has shaped my thinking in more ways than I ever could have expected, and that is Gilead by Marilynne Robinson. I talked at length about this in my favorite books of 2023, so I'm not gonna just gush, but this is one of those books that once again helped me through difficult times, hard times, and it was a light to read it, and I'm forever grateful to have picked that book up. Like, you guys just really don't understand how grateful I am to have been blessed by that book. But it's just another one of those novels that just, once again, very introspective, very slow paced, very it's very, to me, I don't know, it soothes me. It's very soothing. So another reason why I read, I need to change my battery. Like I was saying, for me in Gilead, you know, I hate to like continue to harp on the fact that I'm a mother, but it's a very big part of my life, a very important part of my life, and I'm always checking myself, especially after I have maybe said something, not the nicest thing, or maybe I've yelled at my daughter. I am one of those parents that can say that they are sorry. I'm one of those parents that can ask how to make things better. I'm one of those parents that can, I just take anything that I can get from her that'll help me become a better person, a better mother. I accept it, and I'm willing to listen to her. And I don't know, but it was just the idea that a parent was writing a letter to their child in the event that that they die before their child comes of age. That just hit me. Like, just to know that this is what this was. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I was here for it, basically. And just the way that she detailed things. And I know it's the voice of a man speaking, but it's written by a woman. And so I just feel like Marilynne Robinson understood the assignment. And I don't know, that book just helped me to understand once again that I'm moving at the pace that I'm supposed to be moving on. My thinking is not untoward. My thinking is, I don't know, rooted and grounded in character that has been shaped and molded by a person, my mother, and even my father in some ways. That makes me feel like I'm a good person. I don't know. I hate that it sounds that way, but I don't know. I don't know the right wording for what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is that I also read to check my own understanding of the views of this world, and also how I might view myself. And I seen that, a lot of that, in Marilynne Robinson's writing, and I liked it. And it helped me. It helps me. All the books that I like to read nowadays, I like for them to apply to my everyday life and my life moving forward, you know? And the last book that I'm going to talk about, I just did a reading vlog on that book, and if you care about my thoughts on it, I suggest that you watch it, and that is Beloved by Miss Toni Morrison. This is the most recent finish for me. Well, I also finished, well, not most recent, but recently I finished it a few days ago. And yeah, this book is one of the main reasons why I read, to gain more understanding of self. What do I mean by self? What do I mean by that? So there's this thing called intersectionality, coined by, I think her name is Catherine Crenshaw. And it is the idea that not a single person is especially Black people, we are not a monolith, and that there are vast and broad facets of your Blackness. And Blackness is also not, it's not a real thing when it comes to who I am as a person, because it is a socially constructed caste system created by a dominant race to make me inferior. And I was told that no one can make me feel inferior without my consent. So even though I'm born 200 years after, like maybe 170 years after slavery I was born, it is still deeply rooted inside of who I am, or who I was before I read Beloved, and before I'm reading and unlearning other things that I was taught from a little lad on up to the 31st year of my life. And this book started that journey. Although I've known tons of things that are in here and that are in other readings that I'm doing, these made it crystal clear that there's a lot of strain on my brain, and there's a lot of like tug of war, push and pull going on that has to like be broken by an axe. And this is the one, like I said, this book is one of the reasons why I read, for better understanding and knowledge of who I was, meaning my ancestors, and where I'm trying to go and who I want to be in the future. And I couldn't have asked for a more better introduction to breaking that chain than Beloved by Toni Morrison. We can all sit and pretend that racism is not a real thing and that slavery was, quote unquote, by Kanye West, a choice, but none of those things are true. And so with that being said, those are the reasons why I read. You can take my mini review, whatever you want to call it, from these novels that I've just mentioned, but these are just a few. I have so many other books that I actually really want to talk about, but I'm not going to do that now. I'll make a new video to just gush about those. But these are introductory novels and pieces of literature, essay collections that are shaping and have helped me to redefine what it is to be human, what it is to be a woman, and what it is to be ever changing, whether how fast you're going, whatever it is. And they help me to understand also that I'm running my own race and my pace is my pace. And so so that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed my video, and if you did, go ahead and give it a like, and if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next upload. Deuces.